Yeah.
Hello, good evening. Happy Tuesday. You know what it is. We are back for yet another championship weeknight edition of Apostate Radio. I am, of course, ILC, repping the Stars and Stripes, Team USA.
USA.
And see, now I'm ready. And you know what? Now I'm ready to change. Now I'm ready to go change into my Team USA shirt. Cause well, maybe
we should have a couple more weeks.
Yeah, true. Because we got
one more week. Yeah, a week or two. Will they'll still be in it? Hopefully longer.
Yeah. Because we got one more show. We got one more show with Rosangel with Cafecito Break next.
Yeah. Should be good.
Yeah, that's going to be really good, I think. But we already got people in the chat. Ronald, thank you for joining us, sir. What's going on? Is Ronnie? Don't worry about the rest of my name. And then Ellen was here. Thank you for joining us. Hi, to you too. Great seeing you.
What's up, Ronald?
And this is a big night. This is a big night. Lots going on around the country, around the world. But tonight we've got a man. This is like a high honor. We've had big guests before on our show. Of course, the Grandmaster, James Lindsay, Logan Lansing, shout to him tonight.
Alexi
Lawless, yes.
Some big names, man.
Yeah, that's the World Cup coverage has been interesting regarding that. So we'll
talk about that. We'll talk about that at the end. How about?
Yeah,
that's a good topic to talk about. Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't know what's going. I don't know all of it, but I know that basically Lawless has been getting clowned. We'll talk about that a little later on.
We'll talk about it a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't want to keep our guests waiting. Of course, you can follow us individually, Isaiah L. Carter or Nino Sabio X. We're doing big things, folks. Apostate Radio NY is, of course, our show page on X. All sorts of announcements and things of that nature on there.
Remember to subscribe on YouTube, man, too.
Yes, please subscribe here on our YouTube channel. Because, ladies and gentlemen, I know I announced it earlier this week, but I'm going to announce it again. We are now eligible for Super Chats.
Ooh.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the support over the last 14, 15 months, however long we've been doing this show. We greatly appreciate each and every one of you. And now you can send us Super Chats directly through YouTube. And we're grateful. We're grateful, of course. Thank you to YouTube for accepting us into the partner program. We're grateful for this opportunity, and we in here, man. That's all I can say. Of course, if you wish, you can also send us ducats at buymeacoffee.com/apostate radio. Jesus Christ, here we go. Your boy is back. This guy's a fucking stalker. I'm just convinced of it. He's a stalker. Look in the chat. I don't understand. But Marie Isabella is here. Hello, my dear.
What's up, Marie?
Thank you. She said she was joining us.
Oh.
And yes, thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Stalker.
Thanks, Master Shake, man.
For hate watching.
Nice to have you back, man.
Yeah, nice to have you back. Maybe you can, send us a super chat or two. And then we won't be so mad at you. Anyways.
That'd be nice.
Oh, my God. A few years ago, I got to tell this story a little bit. Right as I was coming out of my fog, as it were, my leftist fog, I had the opportunity. It's so crazy because this was a day in June of 2022. And I got to experience the best and worst of two worlds. I had gone to visit a friend of mine who was performing at the Alvin Ailey Institute in Manhattan. Okay. And so what happened was this was right as we were progressing through COVID. The guy lets me in because I had my one the booster and the 2-shot, right? Because that was like the thing. You had to have the a little bit of the mark of the beast in you, But then when I went in, the lady told me that I needed to wear a mask. And I just wasn't fucking doing that. There was none of that. So anyways.
I hated those masks, man.
I did too. They gave me like crazy anxiety. Anyways, so then I went to the Mines Festival. The Mines Festival was put on by a couple of guys. I can't remember their names. But it was a big shindig on the Upper West Side. I got to meet a lot of people there. Got to meet Maud Marin. Shout to Maud. I love you. You're a great, great lady.
Yeah, shout to Maud.
Got to meet Billboard Chris Elston there, who is a big, big boy. Like, that's a tall guy, man.
Shout out to Billboard Chris, man.
Just an absolutely courageous guy. Got to
we gotta get him on the show, man. We gotta get Billboard Chris on the show.
What? That's a busy dude. I've been trying to get him on. I got to walk past the now former director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, and I got to see Tim Pool on stage with a stinky beanie. Anyways, we're gonna fight him and I feel it, right? But anyways,
training.
Oh boy, yeah. Listen, anyways, that's another time. But anyways, there was one other guy that I got to meet who was on the up and coming. He was one who lost everything in terms of his professional status to the gender cult. And this is a guy who has been courageous in his defense of the truth. And I got to meet that man right there. That's from 4 years ago. 4 years and about maybe 60 pounds ago. But yes, this man has been a great friend to me over the years, and we have watched each other rise through over the last several years. Ladies and gentlemen, I give to you the Colin Wright.
There he is, man.
Colin Wright, bro. It is so great to have you, man.
It's good to be here. Thanks for having me. I've been meaning to do the show for a while, so I'm glad to finally make it on.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it, and this will not be the last time. You are welcome. Like, standing invite. Like, anytime you want to come on, anything you want to talk about.
You can even have your gender reveal on here, man. New baby.
Yes.
Do it live.
Let's do it live.
We'll do it live. And you know what? We're going to start with that. I'm going to just get this like right now out of the way. Colin, matter of fact, let me just share this tab here. Was it a couple days ago or yesterday when you would announce this?
It was on Father's Day.
Also Sunday, this past Sunday.
Yep.
This past Sunday, you made the big announcement that you are celebrating your first Father's Day with Christina Buttons, even though our kid is about the size of its cherry and doesn't yet have a name, and we don't know if it's a boy or girl. I've wanted nothing more the last 6 years to be a dad. And there it is.
Can hear the heartbeat.
That's beautiful, man. I was just doing the same thing a couple weeks ago. My wife's expecting too, so
awesome.
Our second.
Yes.
Getting choked up just watching the video.
Yeah.
bro.
Oh yeah, man. You have no idea, bro. It's kind of you'll see when the baby's born and
Oh my goodness.
holding
I
him
can't
or
even
her.
imagine.
It's a really beautiful thing, and the love continues to grow.
Yeah.
I know.
I was telling
Go
Isaiah
ahead.
before this that you see, the positive pregnancy test, and it's that's significant, and you're excited.
Hmm.
But nothing could have prepared me for one, seeing the image and seeing the heartbeat on the screen. But then when the OBGYN turned on the speakers and I could hear the heartbeat, I was toast.
Yeah. Oh, you're gonna be toast then.
I
Big
can't even
time.
imagine when
Yeah.
it's actually born and I get to hold this. It's gonna be insane.
Yeah, in my experience, when the baby was born, my daughter, it was it's a beautiful thing, but like it wasn't like an immediate like oh, I'm in love with this girl. Like, it wasn't like such an immediate thing. Like, I was like I did love her and stuff, but it wasn't that. But it happened like a couple days later. At first, where like I was holding her by myself and looking at her, and then you kind of feel like a rush of love. It's almost like you're falling in love kind of thing. And then you feel it again in a couple weeks, like something else happens where you kind of feel a deep connection, and it continues to happen. It gets deeper and deeper. So it's a beautiful thing. You're gonna love it. It's not always easy, but you're gonna love it. I'm sure. You're. Are you guys married? You and Christina?
We're engaged.
Oh, okay, so you'll be married soon. So yeah, your fiance. You guys are gonna love it. It's a beautiful journey. Well worth it.
I'm more thrilled than I can even convey.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep, it's gonna be great.
I'm so happy for you.
You'll see.
Since this is your first time on our show, we do have a tradition here of giving you a minute or two to introduce yourself to our audience and let people know what you're about. So, my friend, the floor is yours. Let the people know who you are and what you're doing.
So, this used to go quickly because it was really early on in the gender and the sex wars. But I've been in it for about 8 years now, which is kind of remarkable. But I guess just the long story short, I was an academic. I have a PhD in evolutionary biology from UC Santa Barbara. I was doing a postdoc at Penn State between 2018 and 2020. Before then, I saw a lot of the crazy narratives being spun up among my colleagues, among other biologists that were being published in journals. Ideas that I initially saw just among sort of what I would call extremist activist friends and stuff. And these ideas were along the lines of biological sex is a spectrum. It's not just a binary. Maybe there's 5 sexes, maybe there's 10 sexes, maybe it's just a total, there's an infinite number of them. It's just a statistical, number between 0 and 1 or something like that. And so given my background in evolutionary biology, and specifically I studied evolutionary behavioral ecology, so behavior of animals, one major thing when you're studying the behavior of animals, especially if you're studying mammals or even I studied insects, is that sex matters a lot for determining the behavior and identifying which individuals are which. Males behave much more differently than females. And so I had an extensive background in learning what males and females are, not just in humans, but the universal fundamental definition across all species. And so I was reading these articles that were coming out in big journals like Nature and Science and stuff, talking about how sex is a spectrum, and biologists think it's much more complex than male and female. And they were just so misled and incredibly wrong on just what it means to be male and female. And so I started speaking out against that, first among friends. Then, I had an article in Quillette in 2018, which really kind of put me on the map. Experienced an immense cancellation campaign from that. I thought about maybe stepping away from it, but then I decided, in for a penny, in for a pound, I went and I published another article in the Wall Street Journal called The Dangerous Denial of Sex, and that was in 2020. And that really pissed them off. And so I ended up, this was right around COVID was starting too. And so, I was getting totally canceled left and right by my colleagues, calling me a white supremacist, everything you can possibly, just to see what sticks. I left academia. I worked at an organization called FAIR for a while to try to rid DEI in universities and stuff. And then I took a job at the Manhattan Institute. They hired me to work on the policy side of things. against gender medicine and all the ideas that are sort of buttressing the gender affirming care and transitioning kids. And one of the major reasons people want to trans kids is because they have bad ideas about what sex is and whether it's mutable and a spectrum or whatever. So that's what I've been doing. I guess, the biggest thing I've done so far is last year I defined what male and female and man and woman were for the White House. That is now law of the land across, the entire U.S.
Really?
I've been involved in
that's awesome.
Putting together the team that did the pediatric gender medicine review for the HHS. And I'm doing other stuff with the HHS right now and really just going at these activists in policy and law as hard as I possibly can. So that's sort of the
oh man,
God bless you.
I love it, man.
God bless you, dude. That is insane. I know you've been in the fight against gender cultism for quite some time. I didn't know you had been in it since 2018. I didn't know you had been. I didn't know you had been at it for that long. I mean, it's crazy because this thing was so prevalent. Even I remember hearing stuff as far back as 2013, 2012.
Yeah,
and I remember not even I remember hearing about this whole concept of multiple genders and everything, but it always sounded just weird to me. But then when they started getting really militant and you started getting the queer theory stuff thrown in it, it was just okay, something's really, really wrong here. I mean, what was that like for you, in the midst of all of that, in the midst of the cancellations that you were going through and all of that massive institutional pressure? What was that like for you?
It was a surreal experience. I had seen the ideology, from its really just its nascent beginning. Maybe as far back as 2010, I remember seeing it because I had a girlfriend at the time who didn't start out woke, but became what we would consider woke. And just the evolution of her throughout our relationship. I was about to be going to graduate school to study behavioral ecology, and now my girlfriend's all of a sudden denying that sex differences exist between males and females and humans. So I saw that. I saw a lot of her friends. She was heavy on Tumblr and stuff like that. So I was kind of seeing these ideas that were coming out, but it was just on Tumblr. It was on these little activist blogs. I guess where they belong, really. That's okay. That's kind of what you expect little niche internet activist communities to be there. And so it was just kind of I saw it and I noted it and I flagged it, but I just couldn't imagine that it would have picked up so much steam. And then from about 2010 onward, I was in graduate school. So I started graduate school in 2012. And again, it was still there. It was maybe a little bit more, but it was still just activist fringe on campus. And, I kind of treated them like I would have treated flat earthers. It's just it's crazy. Yeah, you should criticize it because it's bonkers. But are people really going to take this seriously? Can this really go mainstream? Can the flat earth really go mainstream? And so I just thought why give it oxygen? Just whatever. And then, maybe around, I think 2013 is when this stuff really took off. But then I was in graduate school with my head down doing my research. I wasn't an activist. I was just a scientist trying to get my PhD. And so I kind of ignored it for the most part. I saw what was going on. And it wasn't until my last few years in graduate school, really, that I was this is becoming a major problem. And then during my time as a postdoc, it's just holy crap, this is really getting out of control. I think 2015 is when Nature published that sex redefined article that all the activists and then ever since then, it's just been just total clown world ever since. And now we find ourselves, not only are they sort of the dominant force on campuses and even in culture, they've permeated all of the sciences, they've permeated medicine, they've taken over a lot of the law schools. It's just 5-alarm fire. How did we even get to this position? So I'm struggling to push back against this stuff as much as possible. But it was crazy to experience it. I mean, I saw it evolve and grow and morph, and yeah, it's just this monster. It's shocking to have witnessed.
It's a serious problem, man. I think a lot of people have the same perspective that you said you had early on, and even probably I did very early on as well, because I started really noticing this stuff at like 2014, 15, and just kind of, I used to be Democrats, what the show's about. We were past Democrats, progressives really, and I always hated wokeness, like all throughout my life. And even when like in high school, like kind of radical feminism was kind of coming, like entering the scene a bit and stuff, where like they're kind of some like, you know, kind of bogus claims and that sort of thing of whether it's like wage gap or you know, the male privilege, all this nonsense, where they're like, you know, they totally just ignore the fact that, like, you know, there's a lot of things that men are quite very much not privileged about, like having you know, like even just the cultural aspect of, like, you know, like on the Titanic, men have to, like, you know, you know, women and children survive and men don't, which I don't argue with that, because I'm a man, and men should be on board with that, because that's part of our role as males. But the point is, you should also acknowledge that. Be like, hey, that's just one way. Or all the you know, being police officers, or having those dangerous jobs, having them, or being soldiers and having to be drafted. Like there's plenty of other examples. But anyways, I've always been against it, and that really pushed me away from the Democrats. But you know, it is a huge problem. I mean, when it affects medicine, when it affects science, when it affects how people are gonna, you know, future doctors and EMTs and nurses are going to be like, you know, people have different symptoms based on whether they're male or female, right? Like, you know, heart attack symptoms, for example. You know, what are you going to do? Like, you're just going to have that up in the air, whether somebody's a man or a woman. Like that could kill somebody. And then, of course, how you raise your children. Obviously, boys and girls are usually very different. Typical boys and typical girls, or have a lot of differences, I should say. And how's that going to affect kids in education? I personally, and you probably could tell us a lot about this. I think the whole giving kids Adderall and ADHD and stuff like that, I think a lot of that is just is suppressing just normal boy behavior. Like maybe young boys shouldn't be, especially boys and girls too, but especially boys shouldn't be in the classroom sitting down like 8 hours a day with like a 20-minute recess or 30-minute recess like I had when I was growing up, and expected to be like okay with that when you're a young boy. They should be playing outside a lot more, burning a lot more energy, instead of learning things that to them are very boring oftentimes. And it's like they have to sit there all day. It's pretty bad. And instead we're just medicating the hell out of kids, and then they end up being, you know, aggressive later on and mass shooters. I don't know. What do you think about that? I know I just laid a lot on.
No. I mean, I think what you hit on is that, like, a lot of this sort of originated with this idea that, you know, sex differences, at least in psychology, are a result of socialization. You know, they call this like blank slateism, what they call it. We're all blank slates, and it's just our experiences from birth. Even sometimes they'll say like from the womb, depend on how you're treated. You know, from the moment you're born and on, that shapes and changes your brain and makes the sexes have different behaviors and things like that. And so if that's your vision, you know, if that's your premise, and then you're like a 5th grade teacher and you see the little boys in your class are just like running around the place and they're going crazy, and the little girls are just brushing each other's hair, you're going to be like, wow, the little girls are so well behaved, and you're going to be like, something's wrong with the boys. This happened to my brother. So he was probably a little more hyperactive than the average boy. You know, he had a hard time sitting down at his desk. He was like, he would stand at his desk for the things, and he just, you know, he couldn't really focus on things. He just wanted to constantly move. And his teacher just wanted to put basically all the little boys in the class on Ritalin. That's what they were doing at the time. Fortunately, my parents, you know, resisted this, because they're like, you know, we're going to put our child on this drug. And, you know, for some reason, almost all the boys in the class, you're recommending them all to take. Do all the boys have a disorder? Like, this doesn't make any sense. And all the little girls are perfect angels. So no, it's been a big problem. And, you know, I pushed back against a lot of the blank slate stuff. You know, when I used to argue with like intelligent design creationists and stuff about evolution, there was the feminists coming after like the blank slateism type stuff. And what I saw over time is it morphed from, you know, blank slate of the mind to really blank slate of the entire body. Because they used to acknowledge that, like, okay, yeah, men and women have physical sex differences, men are stronger, what have you, but like our brains are completely different. Some extreme feminists would say that like our bodies are different because of how much we're fed and exercised growing up, which is ridiculous. But most would be that extreme. But then it's morphed into just like this blank slate of the entire body now, where they're like males and females aren't even real; they're just these social constructs. And so we've really gone to the absolute extreme as far as you can possibly go on the whole everything's a social construct thing. I don't even know what they could possibly go to next. But I don't want to dare them. So we'll see.
Yeah, and I think
almost like
I just want to say I say that like just real quick. I think it's like people really need to, and I think you understand this perfectly well, Colin. People really need to take seriously what happens when you base policies, whether it's education, medical, legal, cultural, social policies, you name it, political policies based on like social constructivism, blank slateism. Where like you base entire policies on that. It's like that's like building a castle on a foundation of sand. It's going to collapse. And the same thing with having open borders, things like that, where like or having excessive multiculturalism without having like while destroying the local culture. Not having people assimilate. Like there's a lot of ways that this is obviously going the wrong way. And it creates a lot of chaos and antagonism and tribalism and division. And it's like it's almost as if somebody's doing it on purpose for like purpose of subversion and demoralization. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just paranoid.
No, you're not. And I'm gonna say this because there are cultists in the chat. Okay, I do want to. I'm gonna get this out the way so that we can move on. I want to give a shout out to Frank McCormick's baby mama.
Are they in here?
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, like
Big Mama's here.
Yeah, Big Mama's here. Big Mama.
Come on. All right. Well.
And it looks like we have our very first super chat. Yes, the entire audience is us. Yeah, here we go. Thank you. Undead Steve-O for $2. Colin, say capitalism. Capitalism. Just say it.
Thanks, Steve-O.
Thank you, Steve-O.
I'm not sure what that's referring to.
Well, no. Listen, the one thing you have to understand, I don't know if I don't know what run-ins you've had with these fucking creeps, but we've had several. And thank you for all of the for all of the engagement. We appreciate it. Keep it coming. You guys are literally in the no shit cult. I'm gonna go ahead and say it.
Stop bullying us.
Right. You guys are in the no shit cult. No shit. Like whenever I see who's shit, our shit. Right. They follow Carlin when she stalks people. Exactly. It's like when I look at stuff like this.
Can't
right?
take these people.
Yeah, I can't. Like, hold on a second. Let me find it here. Where she goes, social constructs created by capitalism. Come on, Colin. You could no shit. The only ones who talk about social constructs are communists and leftists. Okay, and other denominations of leftists who talk about that kind of stuff. Okay, the whole concept of the tabula rasa, like we get this, and then here comes Carlin. Like again, it amazes me that people actually think that this bitch is fucking brilliant. She goes, they're gonna make everyone non-binary, you idiot. Oh no shit. Because yes, no shit, we're gonna do that because guess what? The entire point of the left these days is to destroy distinctions, destroy anything that could lead to any kind of individualism. We know this already. You're not saying anything that everybody else doesn't know at this point. Okay, give it a fucking rest. You're not impressive. Anyways.
All right. Well, thanks, Big Mama. So, Colin, while we're on the topic, I did want to ask you because you're talking about how like it's infected academia and the culture and everything. What do you make of what's his name? Neil deGrasse Tyson kind of like dragging his feet on this and playing stupid and being like, why do you even care? I think, who did he say that to? I don't know if it was Rogan or whoever he was saying to. Why do you even care about this trans thing? It's like, what did you listen to anything anybody said about this? You listen to any of the criticism and have you thought for more than 2 seconds about it? It's like, is he obviously he's being obtuse, it seems like, but.
Yeah, he's been extremely frustrating to watch just because I do think he's smarter than that.
Sure, of course.
He can be a little pretentious, but he's not an idiot.
Right.
But you can just tell just the language he uses and how he dances around, like he knows the difference between being a male and wearing a dress, like, for God's sakes. But whenever he's asked about, like, the sex, whether it's binary or not, he'll pivot and he'll talk about, like, well, how do we, identify someone's sex when we're out in public? We're not looking at their genitals, we're looking at their hair and all this stuff. It's like, that there's still a fundamental fact of the matter versus like what we perceive, on the outside layer, what they're presenting to the world. Like, there's still a difference. Like, nothing they can do about how much makeup they're putting on is going to change the fact of whether this person is either male or female. And he just can't go there. He has to like leave play this little game, because he knows that if he doesn't dance just the right way there, that he's just going to have so many of a big proportion of his fan base is going to push against him. They're going to try to cancel him. And he already kind of withstood I think a false like Me Too, or I didn't.
Yeah, the Me Too situation, right?
But so he got a dose of it before, and I think he just doesn't want to go back there.
Scared
again.
him.
So
I agree.
He's sort of laying down. He's just like, I will say your little mantra. I'll do this little dance. Just like, don't cancel me. Look at me. I'm
exactly. It's sad, man.
It's just frustrating.
It's really sad, and I think you're exactly right, because obviously he's smart enough to get it. Like, I think it was with Rogan. He was like arguing, like you said, but about like, what's the big deal if males are in women's sports? It's like, what are you talking about, man? Like, wait till that really happens, like at an elite level, or you have like some like 7 foot tall dude in basketball. Yeah. I mean, girls are gonna get hurt. First of all, second of all, even if they're not gonna get hurt, it's like, what if you were that person, training your whole life, to get that scholarship or to get that gold medal or whatever, and that is, if you're not the gold medalist, that's a big drop off usually for people, like, you know what I mean. And you're not going to be a gold medalist against a male, most likely, if they're at all a decent athlete. And it's just like, it's so unfair. Like, it's easy for you to say, in your ivory tower, when you got like somebody who's dedicated their whole life, and this is women's athletics. It should be a feminist perspective. And to be fair, there is some feminists who I know they call TERFs, who actually do actually, like, J.K. Rowling and those type of people who actually also agree, but so many of them don't, it seems like, and it's really sad.
Yeah, well, he proposed the most idiotic thing for sports. He proposed hormone categories, I think is what he said. Why don't we just measure people's hormones and we can decide where to put them? It's just like,
take blood tests all the time.
Yeah, so like I could just take a bunch of steroids, get fully jacked, go off of them, pass like a hormone test thing. Like, we don't care so much about current circulating levels of testosterone. Like, that matters, but like, even when I'm getting older and I need HRT or something to maintain my testosterone, like, it doesn't undo the fact that I went through male puberty, and that doesn't reverse when you lower your testosterone. It still made me over 6 feet tall. It still made my tendons, even bigger. It still makes me
bone density,
upper body strength, all that stuff. Like, you don't get shorter when you start taking estrogen or you lower testosterone. So it's like he hasn't even thought about these issues in any depth at all, and yet he's spitballing this crap on Joe Rogan to millions of people. It's
disgraceful.
It's
really disgraceful.
Like, I don't talk about black hole physics. I don't know crap about that. He should just stick to physics. Like, stick to physics.
No, he should be. I mean, even if you don't want to comment on it that much, you should be like, you know what? I get what you're saying, Joe. I get what you're saying. I totally get it. I get why people are upset about it, and like, leave it at that instead of like trying to like play devil's advocate or something. And it's really disgraceful and absurd. But anyways, I just want to get your take on it.
So, okay. So the first ridiculous thing that we'll talk about, it's ridiculous because of who these people actually are, right? You wrote a piece in City Journal recently talking about how caste should not be added as a protected class in the state of New York. I didn't even know this was a thing. Okay. And it was just recently rejected, according to your piece, and then some other reporting that corroborated this. New York, I'll just read the first couple paragraphs. New York State lawmakers recently rejected a bill that would have added caste to the state's anti-discrimination code. Had it passed, it would have made New York the first state following a failed attempt in California to enshrine the Indian system of social hierarchy in its law, adding yet another category to the ever-growing list of DEI concerns. The battle, however, is far from over. Thanks to activists pushing this latest identity category, Seattle has already added caste to its anti-discrimination law, and universities including Brandeis, UC Davis, Brown, Columbia, that's not a surprise, and the California State University system have added caste to their non-discrimination policies. While state-level policies have yet to succeed, activists will undoubtedly keep trying. When the hell did this become a thing, Colin? Why are these people adding something that has never been a part of the American system? Where did this start, and why are they trying to bring this shit here?
Well, I mean, it's this search for the next identity category. You know, when intersectionality came out there, it talked about these intersecting identities of oppression, and that just led people on this expedition to find all of them. And they've identified, you know, at least in their minds, well, I don't know how many, like 100. I have no idea what they're at right now, but you know, it's kind of slim pickings now. And so now they're going to other cultures and they're trying to identify, you know, what type of social identities could there possibly be, so we can add it. I mean, you know, they'll probably add it to the flag at some point, to be honest. And so they want to just incorporate this into, well, for this specific one, they tried to pass it in New York and it got shot down. Surprisingly, I thought this was going to go through. Which, you know, it's good that it was shot down. People say like, well, are you saying you should be able to discriminate based on caste? It's like, well, no, there's already laws on the books. The Civil Rights Act already protects, you know, things related to your ancestry, that type of thing. So caste is just like a social hierarchy system they have based on class in India. And what we found is, we did like an experiment with this. We asked real people, we did big surveys, exposed them to different treatment groups. Is that one, like, basically Indian Americans don't really identify with caste very strongly. Like, you know, it diminishes over time as well. There's not a lot of the same discrimination in the United States among Indian Americans from Indians from different castes from back in India. So they tend not to treat people differently based on caste here in the United States, like Indian Americans. And then we found out that when they're actually exposed to like the anti-caste discrimination, you know, like training materials they want to give people, it actually made people more aware of caste and more likely to vilify the so-called, you know, like privileged caste, the Brahmins, and to identify discrimination when there wasn't actually. It made people.
That's always what happens too, by the way, Colin.
Like it added discrimination. It made people more willing to discriminate by being exposed to this training than lessening it. So it's just
that's what those programs always do, right? Those DI programs, exactly, like if they tell you about race, like they'll bring up like different stereotypes or different slurs, and then people start thinking about them.
Exactly. It just they create the problem that they're purporting to want to solve. Yeah. And then they're going to, of course, be like, oh, look, now there's all this caste discrimination. Then they're going to just self-fulfilling prophecy, feedback loop, more caste, you know, training materials, and then and on and on and on.
Which is probably the point, because then you could argue that you need DI officers because you had more what do you call incidents of racism and sexism and transphobia and Islamophobia and caste and whatever, fat phobia. So you're like, oh, see, look at us. We need some more officers. We need some more people to pay $300,000 a year to tell you're a racist.
Yeah, it's just a total grift, like through and
through.
Total grift. So it's glad that New York pushed it, but I mean, the activists are going to keep trying to push this stuff. I mean, this was the latest attempt.
This is a funny one, though.
As they read, they've succeeded at lower levels. and this stuff.
This is a funny one though, Colin, because they're gonna be like, so they'd have to basically be busting like Indian people's balls. You know, like who, it wouldn't be anybody else, right? I mean, it's not like, I mean, I'm sure they probably figured out a way to make like some white guy guilty of it, I guess. But I mean, who the hell talks about caste, social caste, besides like Indian people?
It would just be Indian on Indian.
Like, yeah. Right. So they're going to be, yeah, that's very interesting.
The ones who have had that for, I guess, hundreds, if not thousands of years. Yeah. Let me take one quick thing here. This Reagan Hahn lady, DEI is just a low-level delivery mechanism for Marxism. Why don't you know about zines and queer Marxist activists? Again,
what?
No shit.
Why don't we know about it? What are you talking about?
Shit. We know about this.
How do you know we know about this? Reagan?
You don't know what we know.
You don't know what we know.
Like you're like, honestly, this is hilarious. I'm well aware. Like, DEI is, what have I been saying for years, guys? DEI is an industrial complex that creates highly motivated and highly refined racist white people. It is absolutely a low-level delivery system for Marxism. And it's honestly, it's not even low level. Entry level, meaning, you know, meaning some unsuspecting hourlies walk into a fucking a meeting, and you know there's some 400-pound a black girl telling you that everybody's racist. I mean, of course that's there. So, but yes, again, it's like no shit. No,
what, Reagan Hahn. Who the hell are you to tell us what we know about and don't know about? You don't know what we know about.
Exactly. Since you mean, and if we're going to be honest, you kind of look like you done led some DEI trainings in your day. But I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm not gonna say nothing. Yo, real quick,
Regan, stick to Pride Day celebrations, Regan. Stick to that shit, man.
Unrelated. I was walking to the train station on my way home from work today. I was working in downtown Brooklyn this morning, and there's like some special election happening in the boroughs, and this lady is, you know, typical awful, right? She tries to hand me, because there's like a polling place, like I think like in the borough hall there in downtown, and she tries to hand me a flyer for Brad Lander, who's apparently running for Congress. Because
I'd rather vote for Zoolander.
You might about the same thing, but you know what? When she handed me, like she tried to hand me the flyer for him, I laughed right in her fucking face. And this Reagan Hahn lady looks exactly like the girl who tried to hand me that. Anyways,
I bet.
Like, I don't know, man. Like this whole thing about adding caste, it's like, to me, it's like they're doing the thing where they're just flattening all categories. Because again, this is Marxism. And like whenever I hear, you know, communists talk about how they want a stateless, classless society, that's why they dump everything in. It's Cloward Piven.
That's funny, because I don't know that Hollywood wants a classless society. I mean, if Hollywood would probably be, and people like that, the celebrity class, I think they would they might be guilty of some caste crimes if that law went into place, man.
Well, the caste crimes are definitely going to be coming out soon. Jeez, God, what were we? Oh man, there was.
Speaking of categories, Colin, real quick. Speaking of categories and finding new categories of oppression and you know, civil rights, potential civil rights directions. What's going on with the whole MAPS thing? Minor attracted persons.
Oh yeah, no, I know. It kind of seems to come and go.
Not the best look.
Yeah. No, it's there's conferences that apparently go on about MAPS. You know, let's just call it what it is. It's like a pedophile conferences. It's just minor attracted person.
That's exactly what it is.
They're really just trying to sort of put cover for pedophiles. in these ideologies. You know, there's some people who say we need to add P to the LGBTQ plus acronym. There's a whole activist network that's set up to try to normalize these people. And I just think it needs to be resisted as much as possible. I read a lot of crazy academic papers, as you've probably seen if you follow me on X. And you'd be shocked to see how many of these academic papers are actually just overtly sexualizing, not just, you know, children, but infants. There's a whole paper called Queering Babies that does this. You know, I've covered them on my Substack, and these are published in like real scientific journals that are publishing. Like one that says, you know, it applies queer theory to childhood sexual innocence, and wants to center, you know, pleasure in, you know, K through 12 classrooms for kids. It's fundamentally sick. And the fact that they feel comfortable enough, not just to say this openly, but to publish it in journals, and that the editorial boards of these journals are facilitating this, and they seem like they don't have any problem publishing these types of things in these journals.
Crazy.
It's completely bonkers. And, you know, it's just that next step to really normalizing this stuff. And, yeah, it's really, really dark.
I think, yeah, that's really depraved and evil. And it just goes to show you how, you know, how corrupted and depraved like the academia has become in so many places, so many journals and journalism. Because you would think, you know, if journalists were unbiased and, you know, actually doing their job half the time, they'd be like, oh, that's weird. There's a whole academic movement that's promoting pedophilia and queering of babies and sexual pleasure with babies and stuff. And it's just like, you know, that should be big news to people. That should be something that everybody you would think most people on Earth, or most people in America at least, and the West would be extremely concerned about and looking to just totally defund that and you know push that to the very fringes. Obviously, that probably shouldn't be in any universities.
Yeah. What I find though is, you know, we have a very difficult time because the woke people are so insane that when you accurately, you know, depict what they're saying, when you just accurately reflect what they're literally writing in journals to like an average person on the street, you sound like Alex Jones. You sound like they're trying to queer the kids. They're trying to, you know, make the frogs gay, all that stuff.
You sound like a conspiracy theorist.
And you sound insane. Like, you know what they're doing to kids? They're giving children, they're blocking their puberty, and they're giving, you know, minors, you know, they're inverting their penises and turning them into pseudo vaginas. It sounds nuts, but like,
no way that's happening.
Actually, what's going on?
That's crazy.
But it's hard to get in the door because you sound like a crazy person, even though you can like flesh out every single claim you're making in the scientific and medical journals, nonetheless. So that's kind of what we're up against. People
they don't want to look at it. Like so many people on the left and like, you know, normie Democrats, they don't even want to look at it. They don't even want to see it. Yeah. I think it's like there's like they just can't accept it. It's like there's like no way that's happening. It's got to be fake. Yeah, they're in total denial and moral blindness about it.
Well, I mean, you guys mentioned Billboard Chris. He always posts these videos on X that follow the whole, you know, it's not happening. Okay, it's happening, but it's not very prevalent. Okay, it's happening kind of a lot, but it's a good thing. And he's got just so many videos he posts on X that is just, you can just see within a span of like 5 minutes, a person just go through the entire meme in one go. And at the end, they're just, you know, they end up calling Chris a bigot or something because, you know, they found out that, yeah, they really are transing kids. So it's can't even make this up.
And what's funny is that this actually goes into something else that you're working on. I wanted to kind of save this for last, but I guess we can talk about it now. It's this here from your Reality's Last Stand a website. This is phenomenal stuff here. I'm gonna let the video play through. It's 4 minutes, but I'm gonna let it play through because it's obviously in your own words. It's you basically talking about the headline here, which is "Science isn't self-correcting, so we're taking action." Let me let this go through. Oh, wait.
But that's not really true. We're often told that science is self-correcting, but that's not really true. Science doesn't correct itself like a thermostat adjusting the temperature in your house. Rather, science is a human institution run by human beings, and human beings are vulnerable to career incentives, groupthink, moral fads, political pressure, and fear. And when those forces capture academic journals, peer review stops being a filter for bad ideas and starts becoming more of a credentialing system for fashionable nonsense. This isn't exactly new. In 1996, the physicist Alan Sokal managed to publish a totally gibberish article in the journal Social Text, full of trendy postmodern jargon. His point was really simple. If you flattered the ideological commitments of certain academic editors, nonsense can pass as real scholarship. 2 decades later, James Lindsay, Helen Pluckrose, and Peter Boghossian pulled off the grievance studies hoax, placing over half a dozen absurd papers in peer-reviewed journals. One paper used dog parks to analyze rape culture and queer performance.
I remember this.
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course.
That was
This paper right here actually won an award. It was featured as one of their top articles for like the journal's 50th anniversary or something.
Human reactions to rape culture and queer performativity at urban dog parks in Portland, Oregon. What the fuck?
Dude.
Wait, rape culture and wait. So that's so funny. So the paper's about the human reactions to supposed rape culture and queer performativity by dogs, right? The dogs are exhibiting the rape culture.
Observed like 10,000 dog humping interactions and recorded the sex interactions and the owner's reactions, and concluded that there was, prevalent rape culture in dog parks in Portland.
What a culture! That's so funny, man. Or instincts, man. Yeah. And obviously, we know how it's a hoax, but the funny thing is, like you said, it won an award, right? You said,
yeah. Well, it's indistinguishable from what the stuff they're really publishing, and also
right,
like there's been so many papers that have been published since this hoax that, like, if James Lindsay and if they all wrote the papers that I've been critiquing that are real, like, they probably would have been like, there's no chance this will get published in there. Like, it's too extreme. But this is what's being published every day now in science, basically.
Well, you guys remember James Lindsay also, or one of those guys from this group. I think it was James. He just lifted like a chapter of Mein Kampf.
Yeah.
And he made it. And he just changed like the word Jews to like men, I think, so it became like a feminist tirade, yeah. and that was accepted in a journal, in I think a pretty prestigious journal, academic journal.
I'm just wondering, you know what I'm wondering, like what would the research, James and Pete and Helen, what would have the research been like if they had gone to, like, say, Park Slope, Brooklyn?
Yeah.
I mean, why stop at the West Coast? I mean, you can look over here. Shit. Here we go.
Another rewrote parts of Mein Kampf in the language.
There you go. There it is.
The problem wasn't just that fake papers got published. It was that they were completely indistinguishable from the real thing. And today, the problem is even worse. We now have serious science journals publishing papers about feminist lesbians marrying brine shrimp. We have
wait, no, wait, come on, no.
Now this is a paper you need to read. It comes with a video. There's a video of them marrying the brine shrimp. It starts off as like a paper. It begins like it's going to be like a conservation paper. But then it just quickly devolves into like, they refer to themselves as hydrosexuals and ecosexuals. They literally say they're making love to Utah's Great Salt Lake. They go in there, they marry the shrimp. They invented ideas like watery thinking and swirly thinking and all this, it's completely insane. If you go on their Instagram, you can see that their brine shrimp human hybrid baby they claim to have delivered. Like,
Jesus.
It's all just, it's like performance art mixed with weird kink fetishes that they're yet publishing in real journals. I mean, this is a real journal. I mean, the title of the journal is Journal of Agricultural and Environmental Ethics. And you just have lesbians marrying each other in the lake or marrying shrimp, in the lake.
Who the fuck wrote this? Bubba Gump? Where second. I'm gonna read some of this here.
Bubba Gump's daughter.
Gump, right? Yeah, Bubba Gump. We sit there talking to Forrest, like, you know what I could do? You know what you can do with shrimp? I can marry him. I can marry some shrimp for him. The article aims. Hold on, because this is truly
good Lord
diabolical. I'm just gonna read this real quick.
You should read the whole abstract. It's insane.
I am. Let me see if I can do it in my white girl voice. My Californian white girl voice. Hold on.
Here we go.
Let me just take. Here we go. The article aims to transform narratives surrounding Utah's Great Salt Lake, often referred to as America's Dead Sea, by reimagining how brine shrimp, Artemia franciscana, are perceived in science, culture, and art. It introduces the concept of hydrosexuality to bridge these realms, thereby enriching feminist blue post-humanities.
Post-humanity is right, man. Jesus.
Feminist biology through art-based practices and queer advocacy. Hydrosexuality, because fuck water. I don't need a bath.
Literally fuck water.
Yeah.
By navigating the environmental narrative of the GSL,
Great Salt Lake,
the hydrosexual perspective challenges.
Goodness gracious, man! Somebody went into debt for this shit, man. Somebody went into debt to write that shit.
About this.
What are you gonna do with that?
Possible. The article provides a framework for integrative cultural analysis. Wait. I skipped it. By navigating the environmental narrative of the GSL, the hydrosexual perspective challenges settler science by exploring the connections between the reproductive system of brine shrimp and the ecology culture. The article provides a framework for integrative cultural analysis that bolsters arguments about the multi-layered exploitation of the lake and amplifies voices that recognize the brine shrimp as vital to the survival of multiple species and to the GSL as a unique ecosystem.
So you got to marry them to, like, I guess, raise awareness about how important they are to the ecosystem. You got to marry the shrimp and have a sexual relationship with them. This abstract is amazing.
You can actually watch the clip of them marrying the shrimp on my Substack if you want.
Ooh.
Send me the link. Oh my God. I'm gonna let this keep playing. Dude, I can't.
Shrimp. We have disturbing papers that aim to queer and sexualize infants, and we have scholarship on
that one. You know what? That one won a Millstone Award. Didn't that? This one right here.
Queering babies.
Millstone Award. Queering
an award.
Queering babies. Often autoethnographic reflections from a. Oh, that's a
award.
The Millstone Award.
Shit is taken over by the devil, man.
Look up Millstone in the Bible. Yeah. Colin should get that reference. And here we go. I'm gonna keep letting this play.
And we have scholarship on lesbian, queer, trans, canine relationalities and trans. No! This might be the most insane paper I've ever read. It even got the attention of Richard Dawkins.
Wait. Lesbian feminist cyborg politics. Lesbian feminist cyborg politics. It's hard to even put that in your brain together and make sense of it. Lesbian feminist cyborg politics and interspecies intimacies and ecologies of love and what the fuck?
Oh,
I don't know what to make of that, man.
God.
Queer canine becomings. Okay.
Queer
it's more than flirting with bestiality in this. Like it's like the subtext for everything in the entire paper.
Oh my God.
This is really, I gotta say, like these last couple things we've been reading and the thing about maps, I mean, Colin, you got to admit, man, this is like fucking extremely like if satanic, demonic stuff, like of that aesthetic.
Yeah.
What people like, what Christians and probably other religions would say is evil, satanic, demonic, depraved.
Yeah.
It's just interest. It's just interesting that is the the aesthetic that these people are very committed to.
Yeah, and this is part of why when people talk about like peer review and they put it up as this pedestal, it's like this ultimate thing. It's like, just remember, all these papers, they passed peer review. So take take
the value of peer review with a grain of salt.
Oh my God!
As one of the things we should take away from that.
If peers reviewed this, and ladies and gentlemen, your kid in college has $100,000 and some worth of student debt for that. Okay, 100,000 plus in student debt, maybe even more, to learn about how to marry brine shrimp, folks. You think?
I don't even have my daughter work is in a coal mine before I sent her to college at this point.
Jeez, bro. Oh my God.
Well, you know how we used to make fun of like woke studies? People would talk about like feminist basket weaving. I was talking to someone. I was like, well, at least like in feminist basket weaving, like you make something useful. Like you have a basket. You get
a basket at the end.
But even with this stuff, there's just like nothing. There's no product at the end that is useful in any way. In fact, it's the opposite of useful. It like destroys everything. I wish it could just be as useful as underwater feminist basket weaving. That would be a step up from what this stuff is.
Real quick, because
Satan's really into this stuff, man. That's he likes it.
Like
Satanus, the Prince of Darkness.
When he's not plowing Little Nas X. Chris Colin, for 10 writes, "My white girl voice." That's racist.
That's racist. That's a little racist.
Bro, listen. Come on. Like, well, gee, Jennifer, you're smelling a little bit more briny than usual.
Are you cheating on me with a brine shrimp?
These bitches went from simps to shrimp.
Oh my God! Sign. It's the ridiculousness of it. Oh, I can't. All right,
I sent in the chat. I sent you a link to.
Oh, we'll watch.
You just watch a minute of it.
Yes, put it on.
You want to flip over to it now? Oh God!
We can go back to the video in a second, but you don't need to watch just even 30 seconds. So it's an article I wrote, but if you scroll down the article, there's going to be a video. It's called "The Cyber Wedding to the Brine Shrimp," and they mention this in the paper. And my friend, I don't know if you know on X, Dr. Rollergator, he superimposed the Mystery Science Theater 3000 guys on it for me.
You know what? Now I see this picture, it's kind of romantic, man. Like this beautiful giant shrimp.
Beautiful.
He's a handsome gentleman. He's got nice big antenna and his nice what does he got? 9 legs? I don't know. He's got his little big ass claws and a nice little fan tail. So now it's just actually you don't see enough romance. You don't see enough romance in modern day media anymore,
like
man.
Pro marriage, I guess, is like what you can get to. If you scroll down to the cyber wedding, keep going.
Wait a minute. I just gotta get this off.
I wonder how many eggs she's gonna lay with this thing.
Oh my God, bro! I look at this picture and I'm like, this is gonna be the ultimate po' boy in New Orleans.
Dude, this is like an academic paper that's trying to make seriously what the South Park Kanye joke, the gay fish, dude.
Crayfish politics,
motherfucking gay fish.
Crayfish politics.
The real deal of that.
Love it for shrimp. Oh no! Well,
cyber wedding. There it is, right there.
Yeah, let's watch some of this shit, man. No.
You can look more. What a beautiful day. Oh my God.
And you can skip ahead through little bits of it as they, just watch little sections.
And this gray things, there are cysts, there are eggs here all around.
Get out of here.
There they are. The two women, women on the far right, those are the two authors of the
More
paper.
than human inhabitants of Great Salt Lake and friends. We're gathered here today to celebrate the wedding
About
of
white.
the brine shrimp Artemia franciscana to the ecosexuals.
To the
Who's that
ecosexual.
Cupid playing violin in the back there?
Beth Stevens,
That is a good question.
Justina,
One of their queer friends.
Yo,
Lingerie.
Yaros.
Skip ahead a bit. You can, if you skip throughout, you can just see, because it's this whole thing.
first
We
of all,
shouldn't watch the whole thing. I don't think I can handle it. So just skip
Okay.
ahead throughout. You can just get a sense for like what's going on in this whole.
God, it is. Academia has gotten so silly, man.
in a minute.
Bitch can't even play violin.
Yeah, they have a whole weird, bizarre, like noise-making procession.
You can't be serious. Yo,
Does that a violin sound really bad to you, or is it just me?
It's horrendous.
it's
Yeah.
God, all out of
Like,
thing.
I'm not sure if I'm hearing the audio correctly, but it sounds terrible.
No, it's correct.
Like I feel like it sounds like a funeral or something.
It's how it's supposed to sound, oddly enough.
Yo, I swear to God, I've seen them. I've seen them on Bedford Avenue in Williamsburg. I've seen them.
You probably have, man.
No.
You probably have, dude.
These are Bushwick types.
Yeah.
These-
Oh yeah.
If you go to the end of the video, you can see them marrying the brine shrimp, and they actually have these augmented reality 3D shrimp that they put in the video.
No.
Nah.
Now they're in the water. They're about to make love to the lake.
Okay.
Yo, these are fucking losers.
They are published academics, and you will call them doctor. Isaiah.
Yeah. They're gonna need a doctor after this, man.
Two of the lady who married them is a professor at UC Santa Cruz with a PhD.
They about to have anchovy cooters after this, man.
No.
Bien saltado.
Well,
Oh, look there they are. Oh.
Well, I think this was right after they married. Go a little bit back. You can see their augmented reality shrimp. Keep going. There they are.
What fucking losers?
Are you kidding me?
I
This shit,
forgot how
dude.
completely insane this was.
That man, that guy, no. You cannot do that. Is oh boy. That guy, his man card is forever revoked. Forever revoked. Oh my Lord.
Oh, yes. Oh, thank you.
So delicious.
It is
Mm.
good.
This is in the paper. They talk
Goodness
about it.
gracious. These are kids with they didn't have fathers and didn't play enough didn't have enough play time, enough free time, enough attention from adults.
They have their
That's really it,
parents.
man.
They have their parents. Their parents are like they make tons of money. They were just like these are people clearly.
They're ignored. Their kids were ignored, man.
Oh
Or
my
didn't
God.
have enough free play. That's one or the other.
Oh,
It's
They
just like theater kids.
They can't keep it up.
it's theater
Yeah.
kid shit.
Yeah.
Ellen was here for two. Says,
Like,
are
here's
they
the thing, though.
are they
Go ahead.
serving the reception?
Like, it's like how could you make a serious academic paper? I understand if you made if you're writing something for like some culture journal or comedy journal or like something eccentric that's happening in town, which is still ridiculous. There's only like 5 people there. It's retarded. But you're putting this in an academic paper, like this is something serious to take to be it's like some kind of human psychological or biological phenomena or cultural phenomena. It's just 2 crazy people doing stupid shit.
Yeah.
Why are you wasting our time with this shit?
Something like this
Why?
can get by peer review. Like, how do you review something like that? And then,
Right.
if I was trying to review this, I'd be like,
Joke.
this is clearly clown world stuff. Like, no, you can't publish it. But then it got through the whole process of peer review. I would love to read the peer review comments and what they said about this thing. That's totally
No, they probably thought it was brilliant and beautiful and like what a unique way to look at this. And I now didn't know there's so many different ways to love.
Well,
Retarded
it really highlights
things
like
to say like that. Yeah.
peer review is only as good as the peers doing the reviewing. So if you're just sending your paper on marrying brine shrimp to other hydrosexual reviewers, like of course they're not only going to like it, they're going to get off on it, and they just want to see their fetish published in a real science journal.
How many hydrosexual bestiality people would you estimate are out there, Colin, in America?
No, you saw all.
There's probably, I haven't looked, but there's probably a subreddit for it, and it's probably vibrant.
It's all
vibrant community.
No. You saw all 6 of them in that fucking video.
Or that was
so.
it. That was their annual conference or something.
God, I hope so.
Reagan Hahn writes, "You laugh now, but there is nothing anyone is doing to stop this because they won't concentrate for 5 minutes to realize there is a method to their madness. These papers are anti-capitalist papers."
Reagan, these papers are anti a lot of things.
I'll also say that part of the video we were watching when I was talking, this is introducing like one method of pushing back against this stuff, that is because these journals won't publish critiques in their own journals and stuff, but I've been working with a journal, a Springer Nature journal, called Theory and Society, and we will publish peer reviews, of articles in any journal now. So you can hold these types of papers to account, and they have a built-in right of reply. So I am actually doing work on the policy side of things. Yeah, it's not a huge thing, and it's going to take a while, but we're taking steps to creating the mechanisms to actually formally critique this type of nonsense in the academic literature, because up until now it just hasn't gone challenged because they control the means of production in all the journals. And so we've finally made a crack in that whole system that we can actually.
So Colin, what's all right? So let me ask you, what's on that point? What success have you seen from this? Have you seen any, like other journals or journalists or anybody else that like as a result of like critiquing this, or like what are you guys teaching over there? Like what do you like? How is this journal do like any sort of like backlash besides like people like us on Twitter? That is like that's actually might affect people's jobs or anything like that, because their jobs should be affected if this is all they do. Like what are you doing? What are you doing? Like wasting people's money and time with this? Yeah.
Well, we just announced that new peer review article type just a couple weeks ago. I had a article in the Wall Street Journal with Kevin McCaffrey. He's the editor-in-chief of Theory and Society, the journal that's doing this. They've already had some submissions to this, so they're in the review process. It's not a formal major peer review. It's an expert, there's an expert in the field evaluates it, not for whether they agree with it or not, but whether like the arguments are at least coherent enough and merit some sort of response. So it's really errs on the side of like publishing a critique over not publishing. So we'll see. I mean, I've been publishing similar types of post-publication peer reviews just on my Substack. And it was from me doing that the editor-in-chief of Theory and Society reached out to me, because people have responded to articles that I've written on there, like some of my critiques. But he's like, it needs to have more punch to it. It'd be better if we could write some of these things in a real journal. And at first I was just going to write some of these things for the journal, like my critiques. And then we kind of thought about it more like, let's just do a formal thing. But we had to get it approved by the administrators over at Springer. And, you never know what they're going to say, because they're the same journal that published, the sex redefined paper. It took, some back and forth over months, but we managed to get them to agree to like to do this thing. And then several weeks later, they implemented it on the site. So it's fully functional now. And, now it's just up to people to actually write the reviews of these crazy papers and hold them to account. I'm doing some of those. I know some people have already submitted articles, but we're right in the beginning of this. So maybe we'll have another podcast in a year, and we'll go over some of the critiques and if they've had some success and push.
That'd be great.
People to change the record.
Yeah, definitely. We'd love to have you back on to talk about any successes, any new stuff. So let us know in the future. But that's great. We need more people like I just wish that like this country can like have my algorithm for like a week. You know what I mean? Like that my algorithm I see on like Instagram and X. Like I feel like so many things would change. They just had to see some of the things I see just for a week. Give me a week. because people have no idea this is happening. And, as you mentioned, how like people just think you're crazy or, you're some kind of cartoonish Alex Jones. And as we see, some of the stuff Alex Jones has said wasn't so cartoonish. It was actually true. Some of it. So, and you just can't get it. You can't get through to them. They just think it's all bullshit, and it's terrible because there are real consequences to this. People could be using their brain power for so much more important things. Like I'm sure some of these people who write these articles are pretty smart, actually. Or write these these journal papers that we're making fun of. Like they probably were smart enough to, write well and gather some information and get a PhD, even though it's an absurd paper. So they could have used that brain for something more positive than, arguing for why we should be having sex with animals or why we should be queering babies,
Yeah. There is some truth to, like, you have to have a certain level of intelligence to like be able to construct an argument complexity enough to like convince yourself that, that some of these ideas are even true to begin with. It's
sure.
It takes only an academic could have come up with some of these totally insane ideas.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
they're smart enough to trick themselves into believing in total nonsense.
And it's a waste of our resources because I'm sure some of these people get scholarships and get federal funding and and then they get federal loans as well, and then they're trying to cancel those loans. Like, no, you should be paying those loans off, you dipshit. You're the one that went to school for make believe land bullshit. So why am I paying for that?
Real quick. I'm gonna bring up Reagan Hahn real quick because she's asking another. She's saying that hold on, I'm trying to find her. She's saying that it went right over their heads. Wow, what do you mean over our heads? What do you mean by that?
Like the capitalism thing?
Like again, like I don't understand why you think we don't get it. You're like this is the part that that bothers me about y'all. You Carlinites, we'll call you, where y'all again. It's like you think we don't understand. No, we get it. Okay, we get it. They just have an incredibly different ideology than you because they think capitalism oppresses us, and we are letting them win by not understanding their language. Who's not understanding their language? We understand their language. The problem is other people don't. We are dealing with many people who don't fully understand what these people are about. Like it's very easy. Listen, I'm gonna say this real quick, right? Making fun of these people is actually part of the fight back.
It's true.
Because the one
mockery.
Thing that these satanic assholes don't like, the one thing that they hate overall above everything else is not being taken seriously. These people deserve to be laughed at. They deserve to be mocked. They deserve to be treated like the R words that they are. Okay? That is part of the pushback. Please stop assuming that we do not know who these people are. Okay? Appreciate it. Shake asked, do we have to pay like your subs pay? Like
yes, you do. Shake. I want money. Yes, you do have to pay.
Yes, you do have to pay.
You have to pay. I want your lunch money too.
All right, I want to switch gears real quick. She said she's trying to be. Wait a minute. She says you don't speak like the far left. Oh, and Carlin does. How they talk to each other. You don't listen. You don't listen to their organizing calls and trainings to decipher their language. Queer
equals so many.
Queer equals. Completely. Queer is a.
Isaiah, we wasting enough time with Reagan, man. Like we get it. Like she acts like we've No, this is all we talk about for like a year and a half.
Exactly.
Yeah, she's wasting our time and derailing us. Reagan, shut up and get out of here. So let's talk about. So Colin, by the way, I think that I remember you had a podcast for a little bit. I don't know if you still do, where you're kind of going over these crazy journal papers and like ridiculing them and stuff. You still doing that, or because I thought that was a great idea?
We packed it in. You know, we had a good run for a while with some subscribers. It was just kind of plateauing, and it wasn't worth our time. Since
I see.
I was with Brad Palumbo doing it. And,
right,
it was really time consuming, as you guys know, with the podcast. So we decided to cut our losses and do it. I'm still going to be doing some episodes, just on my own Substack. And
I think those videos.
I've done a couple little these academic critiques on X because I got a new studio setup this here. So I'll be doing some more similar.
Yeah, that's good. I think those videos are very effective, man. Like you just like pointing stuff out. And just let them speak for themselves, but then like adding a little bit of commentary, I think those could do very well. On Instagram and everything. You put them across TikTok, everything, because people need to know about this stuff, and people would be shocked. I think most of the country would be shocked to see that this is going on.
So it was a lot of fun because we would actually go and not just make fun of it, like swirly thinking they're marrying shrimp, but like how did they get here? What are the ideas? I mean, there are a lot of these. You read the brine shrimp abstract, and there's a lot of crazy words there. And queer, blue, post-humanities. Like, what are those means? So we'd actually break. What does the queer part mean? What does the blue post-humanities? And it just break it into their constituent parts and the ideologies that are sort of behind all of this. Like, how do you get to marrying brine shrimp in the lake? It's like, well, here's the foundation, and the foundation is crazy. So you're going to get crazy products. But it was fun to do. Yeah, I want to keep doing it.
So I want to switch gears. I want to switch gears from brine shrimp because all this talk about shrimp is doing is make me want to go down, take a trip down to New Orleans because I need a po' boy, bro. I want a shrimp po' boy now with some remoulade all over it. Yeah. That's what I want. Some fucking jambalaya. That's what I want. That got all this talk about shrimp, and I'm ready to eat
some beignets.
Well, not from Cafe Du Monde. I did not like Cafe Du Monde. Have you ever been, Colin, to Cafe Du Monde?
I don't think so. I've been to New Orleans twice, I think, but I can't remember if I went to Cafe Du Monde.
Well, so there are two places as we segue into this next thing. There are two. So you've got two big beignet shops. Me and my wife Karine, we went to both. 7 years. We went to New Orleans back in 2019. We need a do-over, actually. I keep talking about that. So we went to Cafe Du Monde, and then we went to the other one, which is Cafe Beignet. Cafe Du Monde tasted like their beignets. Well, first off, I swear we got the Tony Montana special. Okay, because that scene in Scarface where's like this the mountain of cocaine just right on the desk. That's basically what the beignet looked like at Cafe Du Monde.
Yeah, they overdo it.
All the
sugar on those things.
Sugar, and then the beignets weren't even that good. The beignets they tasted like the metal. They tasted like the metal baskets that they were fried in. Okay,
that's bad.
Yeah, so
the water. It's probably the water.
Yeah, so then it's right off the Mississippi actually. So then we go to Cafe Beignet, much better. Much better. So yeah, if you go there, you'll have. If you go to Cafe Beignet, yeah, when you and Christina go down there, the Cafe Beignet have the best beignets down there. All right, we'll switch gears. Let's talk tech. And you apparently have become Theo Von's biggest fan in the last 24 hours.
Poor Theo.
I don't get that guy, man. Like there were some things that I guess he's trying to be like an elevated label, Larry the Cable Guy. I don't know, but this right here, you said Theo Von is a moron who doesn't understand that data centers are mostly for compute power and not warehouses full of personal information. They really should be called compute centers to prevent the kind of simplistic outrage on display here. I'm gonna go ahead and play this a little bit. We don't, because that's enough out of him. That's enough out of him with that George W. Bush style pronunciation, strategery and all that. Like what the.
I think our friend Theo had one too many of those metallic beignets, man.
Yeah, I mean, the stuff he talks about, I just, as someone coming from like a science background, I didn't come here because I wanted to be an entertainer. I don't want to be even like a content creator. Like I came here because I have a very specific set of things that I have expertise on.
Yes.
And I lend myself to the expertise in the realm of policy. And I just couldn't imagine just like having an audience that big and just being a comedian who's not an expert in anything and spitballing on something as consequential as data centers and what they're doing and just getting it all wrong. Like to me, I would just be so mortified to say anything like even a 100th as false as he's saying to any sort of audience. It blows my mind that people are just like okay with this and they'll put themselves out there and say this type of shit.
I think Theo's the thing about Theo, man. Like he's not an intellectual. He's not very educated. He's a funny guy. He should, he's getting real worked up about, I think, the things he's hearing and the conspiracy theories and the news he reads, and he's not very good at deciphering through it. And I think he really believes this stuff. I don't think he's being disingenuous. I think he just is worried, and I guess his audience likes to hear him talk about it, at least some of them. He should stick to the comedy, man. He should stick to being a silly guy. He can be very funny. But this is like he's just way out of his depth with a lot of this kind of more serious topics he brings up lately. I find.
So help me out for a second, because even I'm a little confused about this whole data center thing. I see them like I see the debate, like I see the Democrats, like leftists are going like full degrowth mode when it comes to these data centers. When it comes to these. We'll use your terminology. These compute centers. I don't know what they're. I don't know what they are. You can help me. Please enlighten me as to what purpose they serve. And two, because the one thing I do know is that they talk about the water usage of these places. Why why is that such a big concern? Like what is this, and why is the water usage such a concern? Is what I'm asking.
Well, the water use isn't a concern. It's just a completely fabricated scandal. I don't know like the comparisons to this, but the water usage is just like comparable to, plenty of other things that we don't even think about. It's like I think I read somewhere it's like 0.2% of the water we have in the U.S. is being used for this. It's not like, farming takes, if you compare it to the agricultural water, it's just like a drop in the sea compared to that. But it's just sort of the latest outrage they can do. I mean, there are some like real worries. I mean, people are worried about jobs being, lost to AI. So that's, there's some anxieties there, and I understand those types of things. I think a lot of it is what Theo Von is on display is they're conflating, data centers as these warehouses of information about people or whatever with compute centers. So I mean, you think about your phone. If you're on Chat GPT or whatever on your phone or your computer, like your computer is not running the AI model. Like you are queuing up a computer, Colossus or whatever down in wherever that was, in Memphis or in Texas somewhere, and it's doing the computing for you. It's processing the large language models that then spit you back an answer that you receive, when you're on Grok or whatever. Running your apps, I mean, these all use compute power because it's not done natively on your phone. Like your phone is doing very little in terms of compute. And then, there is some data on these data centers. There's for cloud storage and things like that. But the majority, like you don't need all the huge expansions of data centers for just storing information. It's mainly just, cranking through these large language models and predicting the next token that's going to, for, coding things on Claude or whatever you're asking it on ChatGPT. That's what these things are for. And, we're kind of in a situation where I understand the worries, but then there's, is China going to ever stop making these things? Probably no. And if we let them become like AI super dominant force, I just think the first one out of the gate is really going to be the one that takes world dominance on this stuff. So it's kind of doomerist, but we don't really have a choice. We kind of need to go full pedal to the metal on this stuff, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. But it's not like well, Shake was like, he speaks to something real. Don't downplay some concern. I mean, I'm not going to. I don't want to downplay it because, like I said earlier, I don't know anything about this myself. So I don't
Well,
want to
Shake, what is he speaking to? What's the point that we're missing here? Because it just sounds like Theo was a bit misinformed there. So
right.
let us know we're missing.
So I mean, there's concerns, and I admitted there's concerns, but Theo is just where he's placing his concern is inaccurate. If he were to like make a video about, you know, the concerns with AI job loss and things like that, or you know, making deep fakes to you know, destroy our politics and make fake videos of politicians saying they're going to,
or cybersecurity. I know
cybersecurity stuff, like that's all totally legitimate, but just I mean, Theo Von's just a total novice misinterpretation of what even a data center is at a fundamental level. So there's concerns, but his weren't accurate. He's concerned about wrong things.
Yeah. So I'm trying to find the drawing that you made. I want to talk about that. The one that Elon the one that Elon boosted. Like I wanted to actually talk to you about that first. If you could send me the link to that, I'd like if you can, I appreciate that. But that's going to stand
the test of time, man. That drawing is probably going to be repurposed forever.
Because you drew it, right? You put it together. Elon like reposted it, and it blew up like immensely. And then you updated it. Like what was that like for you?
So I just posted the original one, at least in the chat, but I did the update with the sniper, the left-wing sniper.
Okay.
Just for having it, you know, because we've seen all the people, you know, shooting of Charlie Kirk. We've seen assassination attempts on Trump, you know, and many more. And so it's got to the point where they're no longer just yelling bigot at you. Like they're saying, you know, oh, we've had enough. We're actually going to start picking up guns now and trying to shoot you guys. So it's really sort of the last. I hope I can't remember. I don't even know what the next panel would be on this thing.
Right.
Maybe I don't want to know. But the updated one, you know, Elon posted that too, and I think my original one, my updated version, it had over 50 million views, like impressions, when he shared the last one I had too. So yeah, they tend to go viral. I'm shocked of how viral both these cartoons have gone over the years. Because I just made these things in like my PJs in my room one night on PowerPoint, silly clip art cartoons. But I mean, I think they just resonate with people because it has. I mean, I think you've even talked about this here too, where you know we experienced coming from, you know, maybe I was on the center left before, where my views haven't really changed at all. Like I still like fundamental free speech person. You know, I've always been for equal rights, which includes women's rights, I suppose. But then now we don't know. The left doesn't know what a woman is, so how can you be like the party for women's rights if you don't know what a woman is?
Exactly.
Whenever they use free speech, the left is using free speech in scare quotes. You know, I was always, you know, against racism. Racism is bad, but now all the DEI stuff is just like it's just racist. It's group versus
super racist.
Group. It's racial quotas, and so all these core principles that I had that I used to think existed on the center left have just shifted. So I didn't change, but the political ground beneath my feet has like moved underneath me. And now relative to where the left has become, like I'm now right of center, even though, again, I've remained perfectly still in my views and my fundamental principles. I mean, I've probably moved on a few small things, but in terms of fundamentals, not really. Like I haven't really changed at all. So
a great example of that is you know, I'm sure we've all seen the videos of you know, Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton in like 2008 talking about illegal immigration. If they committed a crime, we're gonna deport them, and we're gonna make sure there's not too many illegal immigrants coming in here. And you know, and like just sounding just like a Republican today, a MAGA Republican. You know, just like them, if not even more fervent. And that was totally normal for the Democrats. That was mainstream, as it should have been, right? Because that's common sense. But that's just one example. And now you're a fascist, you know, Nazi for talking like Obama and Hillary did in 2008. So it's crazy how quickly things could change.
Well, I mean, the worst part is people should be able to change their mind for sure. Like I respect people that change their mind on stuff, but like if they're not able to give you like the pathway by which they changed their mind, why they changed it, how they got there, what their evolution of thought was. That's what's missing with the people like Barack Obama's and all the political people we're seeing, is you just see what they said 10 years ago. You see today them saying the opposite thing, but there was nothing in the middle where you could see their transitionary thoughts and what made them change their mind. It's just the political tides have turned and now they're just saying something else. Whereas for me, like, I've changed my mind on things before, but I can give you a perfect, step-by-step list of how I got from why I changed my mind, why I evolved, what the influences I had that made me change my mind on everything. And that's what we should expect of people, not just a complete about face on your beliefs without any explanation for why your views have changed.
Yeah, even Bernie was just like, I think like what, 10 years ago or so, maybe 11, 12 years ago, Bernie Sanders was against legal immigration because it was, he said it was a Koch brothers conspiracy, conservative conspiracy to lower wages. And maybe it was, I don't know, maybe that was a big part of it. To just make it so they don't have to spend, pay as much for American workers and unions and stuff. And there's probably some of that's probably true, but now that's just out the door. Like, there's just nothing of that from the left. And now it's just like let's just have a free for all of open borders and just use, immense amounts of our tax dollars for welfare and their medical, and then putting them up in hotels and giving them cell phones and giving them allowance and cash cards, food cards. It's like, and then of course the fraud we're seeing from like Nick Shirley, and those kind of investigations in Minnesota and LA, and I'm sure New York, and I'm sure Chicago, I'm sure every big blue city, and the NGO fraud, the Doge fraud. So, I mean, it's just like, there's, plenty of reasons clearly to be against illegal immigration. It's certainly, or plenty of reasons to be against open borders, surely, without you being a Nazi. So it's sad that we have to say that. Yeah.
So what is your take on that? I mean, I know you said your scope is narrow, obviously, but in what ways have you shifted over the last several years? I mean, I know obviously the gender stuff is one thing, but what are some things that you've shifted on personally in the last several years?
I've shifted on universal health care. I used to be for it, and now I'm not. And a lot of that has been because of how I see how the healthcare system is working related to the gender medicine stuff, and how it's incredibly difficult to track because a lot of it's private versus public, and just how some of the policies of if you have a complete top-down system, you might think that's like a good idea for some reasons, but if it gets captured at the top, then you're just totally screwed. And I don't think it's good to have these giant infrastructures that control everything, because I think what we've seen is how easy it is for an institution to actually get captured by activists. And so I'm for like a decentralized version of healthcare too, just so right now, if you're in a state that your kid's getting gender affirming care, or they want to trans your kid, at least you can move to Texas, at least you can move to Tennessee, where they don't do this type of stuff. But if it's like a top down thing, if it's federal, you can't escape. You got to leave the country if you want to do this stuff. So That's kind of why I've moved away from like a lot of the universal healthcare stuff. Plus, I mean, there's the cost reasons too. Once people aren't on the hook for money, then you can just pay as much as you want. The hospitals can charge $100 per aspirin, and you're not paying it, so whatever. So I guess on some of those on issues like that, probably smaller issues related to taxes and stuff, I've moved to the right on, but nothing like fundamental. I'd say my fundamental core values have remained basically the same.
That's fair. Yeah. I mean,
I'm more open. So I used to be kind of like a militant atheist. I was in the atheist community, the whole new atheism. I'm a big acolyte of Richard Dawkins and stuff, and I still am a non-believer and stuff. But I've really kind of changed my mind about the role of Christianity in society, and as a kind of a bulwark against a lot of the sort of anti-West forces out there. And I consider myself in some way, it makes sense in my mind, but like an atheist for Jesus, where I think you could. I think the principles are really good. I think they are foundational to the West, and I think that mixed with sort of a clashing with secular ideas and all that whole debate thing is kind of where we need to be. So I'm not nearly as antagonistic towards Christianity as I used to be, just as it's all delusional and stuff like that. Like, I'm still not a believer, but I think it's useful and there's a lot of value there, and I think people need to grapple with some of the ideas that are the traditions that have been passed down through Christianity, and not just Christianity, but Enlightenment values as well. I mean, it's all part of our Western culture today. So that's another thing I've changed on.
That's cool. That's cool. I mean,
yeah, totally agree, brother. I mean, I would suggest, if you haven't read The Righteous Mind, have you ever read that by Jonathan Haidt?
Yeah. Oh, great book.
Yeah, his chapter on religion, he kind of talks about a lot of the benefits of religion to like a group, to a country, to a nation, and it makes people more honest and generous with each other. It makes people within that community, at least. It makes people bond together in a transcendent way that makes them if they have to go to war together, have to build things, push towards the greater good. Religion is actually a technology that humans have been using to do things that they wouldn't be able to do otherwise. Yeah. Usually, it seems like that's kind of what anthropologists and sociologists and social psychologists have found. There's more to it than that, but that's for people who are interested. That's a great book to read, great chapter to read.
Yeah, there's a lot to it. And I had a front row seat in the atheist community watching it get taken over. It was one of the first casualties of wokeness, really, back in the early 2010s. And now the atheist community is the most rabidly woke group of people you'll ever encounter.
Really?
They want nothing to do with me, that's for sure. So, I mean, if I could choose, even though I'm a non-believer, I'm an atheist by definition. If you said, you need gonna go out and have beers, and all you know about someone is they're a rabid atheist or like a fundamental Christian, like I will pick the fundamental Christian every day of the week, because at least we understand, like we might disagree on like the origins of certain things, but we still agree on like basic reality that we're looking around us and seeing, like there are only two sexes. Truth is a real thing. How we get there, they believe in objective reality. They don't think everything is a social construct. So we can actually have productive conversations, and we can disagree on the areas we disagree related to theology, but like we can still have productive conversations. Whereas with the woke people, if you don't believe in truth at all, there's I have nothing to say to these people.
Well, so here's what I'm gonna get at with that, Colin. It's funny you mentioned that. Like, the one thing that I have noticed about the left, because I'm like you, I was a fervent Democrat from about 2009 up until about 2021. And I saw a lot of the same things that you've seen, right? Of like watching as they marched further and further to the left. The reason why I despise the gender cult as much as I do is because I actually consider it to be the gateway drug, if you will, to the rest of this inversion arc that the Democrats have been on.
Yeah.
Let's think about this for a second. Human beings have been a sexually dimorphic species for thousands, for millennia. And then all of a sudden, 50 years ago, and now 15, 20 years ago in the mainstream, now all of a sudden, human beings can identify as anything. You could be a woman if you say you're a woman, right? Like that's and then everything after that seems to be, we're just going to invert something because we can. Even if it's roads, like I hate to talk about urbanism in a conversation like this, but I think it's valid. People driving in a city, you thought nothing of it originally, not even 5 years ago. But now all of a sudden you've got weirdos just popping up all over the place going, well, streets are for people, not for cars. So now what they're saying is, now what they're doing is they've inverted streets being used by people in cars to now they're like, well, we're going to do bike lanes everywhere. We're going to have all of these road dieting things and returns the streets to the people instead of it's ludicrous. But what it is that inversion that these people have been on. It is the queering of things.
Yeah.
In regards to that. And it's sad to me. What's really sad to me, and going back to the atheists, I think the reason why they were able to, why wokeness, why this communist cult was able to capture atheists the way that they have, is because there was already a God and or religion shaped hole in their heart, and this new religion, this new antichrist religion, just kind of filled that gap. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, their religion became social justice causes, for sure. And I think, yeah, I mean, that's basically how that went down within the atheist community. I think something you touched on was how the gender cultists, the sex denialists and stuff, I mean, the reason that I finally had to step up and I couldn't look away anymore is because, in a sense, like, saying that males and females don't exist is kind of like the ultimate lie. You know, it's the ultimate ask. If they can get you to say males and females aren't real, they're social constructs, then there's really nothing else. Like, getting you to believe any other form of BS is like trivial at that point.
Yep.
It's the ultimate lie. And so if you swallow it, you can swallow any other lie that they're willing to give you. And so that's why it's become like this totem for them. They need you. That's why trans women are women, all caps on the, everything all the time. They need it to be a mantra. They need you to chant it, not think about it, but to chant it, just accept it as true in your heart. Because then they have total control. And that's why, like,
and to believe that disagreeing with them is an act of violence.
Yeah. And then, any disagreement is, they go all the way to 11 on, you're a Nazi. If you disagree with this, you're contributing to the genocide of things. It's just
trans genocide.
They get you to believe this because that's how they can get you to believe in anything else.
And if you want an example of that, not to cut you off, but you actually mentioned this type of ridiculous rhetoric that came from, of all places, the mayor of Chicago.
Trans femicide.
A joke.
Yes, bro. This honestly has to be the most batshit thing I've ever seen in my life.
More than brine shrimp being. We just saw brine shrimp get married in the Salt Lake.
Okay, all right, fair. Okay, all right. Well, up until the brine shrimp, okay, this was the craziest thing I'd ever seen. Brandon Johnson, the dear leader of Chicago, writes, he wrote, quote, for far too many transgender Chicagoans, such that they are, the sense of belonging they deserve in their city has been denied by exclusion and barriers to opportunity in spaces that should feel safe and welcoming. And here's that part is already batshit enough, but since declaring a trans femicide state of emergency, our administration has strengthened the city's capacity to support LGBTQ plus Chicagoans. This framework builds on that work by centering the voices and this is the same typical communist claptrap that we've grown accustomed to over the years. And you wrote, the mayor of Chicago has declared a ludicrous I can barely fucking say it. A ludicrous trans-femicide state of emergency because it seems every progressive city needs to manufacture its own moral panic. But then you said the data doesn't support the narrative. Trans-identifying people are murdered at lower rates than the general population. And my review with Don't Shoot the Data of 304 cases, 304 cases from 2015 to 2024. So over a 9-year period, found that only 3.3% resulted in confirmed hate crime determinations. The leading identified circumstance was intimate partner violence. And I'm going to go ahead and matter of fact, I don't even believe it was that, Colin, and I'm not going to disparage your work, but when you say interpersonal, what do we say here? Intimate partner violence, that means that it was hookers.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. Yeah.
It was prostitutes because again, the John picked up one of them, thought they were getting one thing, ended up getting another. And then they ended them because of that, and it's just it's crazy to me because they know this. They know this. They are well aware of the truth of this, but yet and I don't know what's more jarring about this. The fact that the mayor of the third largest city in the country, a black man, is elevating something that reeks of white leftist privilege, like pedestalizing it, like, you know what I mean, like openly pedestalizing this. I don't know if that's worse or the fact that this is the same, like this is it's so it's like 2021 coded. This foolishness, like what were your thoughts when you were reading through that? Like, I know that had to driven you crazy.
Well, I mean, he's getting these talking points. There's just some like left-wing LGBTQ NGO that's just handing him these things to say. Like, I don't think this is some organic thing that just came from him and he truly believes it or anything like that. It's the boilerplate claptrap, as you mentioned, that they just put out there because it strikes all the little notes and all the little intersectional points, and he's saying the right words and all that stuff. But I mean, it's just completely false. I mean, you have the organizations like the HRC, the Human Rights Campaign. They've been tracking, from part of the data we looked at from 2015 to 2024, every instance of a person who identifies as trans being killed. And when you compare this to like the FBI crime data, they're portraying this as a trans genocide fueled by white supremacy and all this stuff. But it actually matters. Like, okay, well, if it's a genocide, then like a question you can ask her: what are the rates? What are the homicide rates for trans people? And it's substantially low, just the average number of the population. So being trans actually seems to be a protective factor for you. You're less likely to be murdered if you identify as transgender. Despite, it can't be every white supremacist, because the majority of the people who are killing these people are black people, black men. Probably because, there's the pimps and aspect going on, the prostitution, that aspect going on for it. And so the entire narrative, like every bit, no matter how you would want to zoom in on any aspect of what they're trying to say about this trans genocide or trans femicide, it's just completely false. And it's not just false, it's the opposite is true. It's the inversion, as you mentioned before, of reality. And so, but they always look bad when you're saying that. Actually, it's not true. And they're like, you don't care about trans people dying. It's like, no, no one should be murdered. Okay, don't murder people. But it matters if it's true. If you actually care about protecting trans lives, then you should actually look at what is the leading cause of death of trans people. And if it's intimate partner violence and you're going off and doing some other things that aren't addressing that, then you're not helping the problem. It's just the virtue signal is actually leading to more trans deaths than if you actually just faced reality and implemented policies that are, that are matched to what the data actually says, but they don't care. Again, it's just all a big virtue signal. It's all just politics and
well, it's communism. I mean, that's what it is basically. Yeah. I mean, it's like we mentioned earlier. It is the continued flattening of all of anything with meaning, any class, anything that could give distinctions, anything like that. They want nothing to do with it. And to me, it's like. There's no place for this. There's no place for this. It's like I've never ever understood why they've pedestalized. It's like I don't know. Maybe it's a perversion of the whole least of these things that Jesus, like the Jesus mentioned in the Gospels, if you offend against the least of these, right? And so they figure, well, we're talking about 2/3 of 1% of the population, and if we don't elevate this minuscule group of people, all of whom are mentally ill, we're going to elevate these people and treat them as if they are these special, holy, and righteous and sacred beings that need the full protection of the state over anything and everything else.
Well, a big part of it, Isaiah, too, is they're creating, so they're trying to create new civil rights groups, right, that are that they can point to and be like, oh, people are discriminating against them, people hate them. Republicans, conservatives hate them. Conservatives want to kill them. Conservatives they're hoping for genocide, and so they can point and make conservatives the villains. I think it's a big part of it. It's just that they're trying to create yet another group where they can villainize conservatives and moderates, really, and even plenty of Democrats who are against it, which is a lot of them. And it's a way to try to freak people out, I think, and make people continue to see one side as completely evil and unhinged and violent and hateful. So,
well, what do you think about that, Colin?
Yeah, it's ultimately a bludgeon for political power. I mean, I was just reading a paper today that came out I think a week ago, peer-reviewed paper, that was about anthropology and how they're trying to move away from binary sex labels when they're identifying skeletal remains and things like that, because it's rooted in cis heteronormativity, patriarchy, colonization, all that stuff. And part of the justification, I mean, you read like the intro and just like why it's all just like, given the amount of anti-trans policies implemented in the red states across, like this is in like scientific journal stuff. Like their justification is it's all political signaling in the scientific paper. Like that's the justification for this stuff. And it's, it's so foreign to me as someone who's written scientific papers. I studied spiders and wasp behavior. Like the idea that you would put anything that's even remotely political coded that has any type of like value system into it. Like scientists are just supposed to tell you like what is, not what you ought to do, not what you should care about. Even in things like conservation science, like you can say like, well, we're not going to tell you whether you should care about conserving pandas, but if you wanted to, here's the facts on how, their environment, what it needs to be like that's fine. But it's value laden and it's very specifically in one direction, just like hammering Republicans over their heads by making up things like trans genocides. It's lies, and it's being published in peer-reviewed journals. And of course, there's never citations for those things. It's just sort of like considered background truth that they can just spout. It makes no sense.
Yeah, it's totally, and you just pointed out like how activism is the main goal with so much of this. It's political activism, ideological activism, like with their scientific paper immediately jumping towards, or medical paper or whatever. Like I hear this from doctors and stuff too. Where they can immediately jumping down the throats of or pointing the fingers at like you said, red states, conservative politicians, conservative policies, Republican policies. Everything is activism with them. Everything is like you said, something to bludgeon people politically with, used for political power. And that is not what you should be doing with science, man. That's a perversion of science. It's not going to work. It's gonna have a lot of negative effects in the future that are foreseen and unforeseen. If you base science and education on that, it just is clearly, and we're already seeing it. And I think, like I said before, like when you push this trans stuff, it's like, one thing's nobody like transvestites and stuff existed for a long time. And cross-dressers and gender dysphoria, right? Nobody gave a shit. Nobody gave a shit at all. No conservatives didn't care. Maybe some people made fun of it if they saw like RuPaul or something like that. But it's like now what they do is they push it on children. They push it in earlier and earlier, kindergarten, preschool, like having drag queen story hour, telling people they might be a boy or girl, making laws in place where they can where therapists can lose their license if they don't affirm gender, quote unquote gender affirming care. They go after the kids. They go into women's private spaces. They're threatening women in private spaces, prison, sports, going after biology. Like what is more, like you said, what is more biologically foundational than the distinction between male and female? Like it doesn't, even plants have that distinction usually, right? Yeah. So it's like, that is just life. That's life. It's foundational, like what life is. And they're fighting against truth. They're going against children. They're going against women's safety. They're going against science. And of course there's going to be a backlash. Of course people are going to be pissed. Of course people are going to want to fight back. And it's just like a baiting to be like, haha, see, look at these bigots. Look at these hateful bigots. Yeah. And, I think most people aren't falling for it, but they counted on having complete control of the universities and having complete control of any journalism, any media. Thank God, as I say this all the time, thank God for independent media, because otherwise people would have to like swallow this, but we have independent media. We have people like you, Colin, people like Joe Rogan, who originally platformed so many important people when nobody else would. And now we got like publications like the Free Press and so many others that are giving a different perspective, and the right perspective. It's the right perspective. It's the truth. And we've let these people go nuts and totally pervert our institutions and almost destroy them. So we're fighting for dear life with them, man.
Okay. I'm gonna ask one question. Well, no. Let me back up real quick. Ellen was here as a question, and then I got one last thing to ask you. Ellen was here asks, how do they get old school researchers to abandon everything they've known for decades?
Fear of losing their jobs, right?
I mean, social exclusion is one of the biggest fears that people have, and it's prevalent in academia. I've seen a lot of my friends just be horrified, because if you're an academic and especially if you're trying to get tenure, you need to get people who are on these grant proposals with you. And if you're saying the stuff I'm saying, like, you're not going to have anyone on your grant proposals. And some of these, the more woke grants that you apply for require you to have like a diversity of authors on your grant before they even will approve your grants for you. People are just deathly afraid of getting canceled. I mean, there's a recent example. There's a guy, I've totally forgot his name. He's like the father of like evidence-based evidence-based medicine, and he like made all the prescriptions, and he's very good. And his team there at McMaster's University, they were enlisted to do like these systematic reviews on things like double mastectomies for minors for like gender affirming care. And fortunately, like he did the review legit, like they didn't inject any ideology at least into the data. But then at the very end, he like insisted on putting in these things like none of the results in this review should be used to influence policy related to this on the state or federal level. So it's like, I'm sorry, that's not for you to decide how your science is used. You're the fact finder, Mr. Evidence-Based Medicine. The public, we get to decide what our values are and whether we like what the hell's going on with kids that you found in your review have like low evidence of benefit for this stuff. So you can't tell us what the hell to do with this data. Like, that's for us. That's for society to decide to do. But he was definitely afraid that he'd get canceled. So that's, and there's videos of him where he was challenged by Mia Hughes, who's very good.
We had Mia on. Mia's
Yeah,
great.
she's great. And this guy, God, I can't remember his name. Anyway, he was just like trembling because she like called him out on this stuff. And you could just, he's so afraid of the gender mob coming at him.
Oh yeah.
That he's just torched his entire career and like his legacy of being like the father of evidence-based medicine. Social coercion is like so powerful. When I was getting canceled, it was one of the most like torturous things that I experienced. Like, I thought I was going insane. I was having like panic attacks. It just, you feel like your skin is just, you just want to just go out of your skin. All my friends, I've lost almost all of my friends going through this stuff. It's such torture going through you. Like, unless you've experienced it, you can't really imagine how bad it is. And it'll make you do crazy things. I mean, fortunately I had like a small group of other friends. My family was like my rock. They were there for me. They supported me. And so I was able to just say, screw these people. Like, I'm just going to say what's true and like, see what happens. And I'm glad I did, but it still controls a lot of people's lives for sure.
Yeah, it goes against every, your human instincts, like, ostracization, social evolutionarily, like, after millions of years of evolution, that would mean probably you're going to die if they kick you out of a tribe or kick you out of your group.
Absolutely.
You're going to be out in the winter in the desert by yourself. You're done. So, and then we haven't lost that instinct. It takes a lot of courage to do that. And I see, you could see why that guy would be that way. Cause like, he's probably an older guy too. He's, like you said, he's got this great career. He's set up for life and tenure. He's respected. He's making good money. He probably loves his job. Many professors love their job, researchers. And it's like, well, am I going to throw this away to die on this hill? Even though, I should, of course, but no, like, why would you expect me to do that? And I get it, but at least he did the research. I'll give him the props that he actually did the research and put it out there. But what a thing to say, like, hey, look at all this scientifically, all the scientific fact that we found, or at least, it looks like it's something you should take seriously based on our results and our methods. But let's just ignore it though, because as far as policies, like, no, of course you should consider that. Like, if this is a well done study, you definitely should take it into consideration how you should be doing policy, especially if nobody else has done any studies on it.
That's why they paid to do the review in the first place, to find out, is this actually rooted in evidence? Is it beneficial?
Right.
Finds out, no, there's no good evidence that it's of benefit. How can you possibly say, but you can't act on this information? Like, the whole point is to inform policy on this. It's just.
Yeah, it's sad. It's really sad that he felt
coming from the founder and like father of evidence-based medicine to say something that is completely against all of the core principles. It's just amazing what social pressure can do to people.
Yeah.
The one good thing though that I will say that has come out of all of this, because like I have like several cancellation stories. I'll never forget when in 2021, a friend of mine who I had known since like 2012, who used to call me when like she was like having like when she and her daughter had like a problem, she would call me to like kind of calm down or whatever. And in 2021, when my account, like right before I met you, my account, my Twitter account had gotten deleted for like almost 4 months. And I remember talking to her about this, and like this lady was like a big, activist and stuff like that. And I had just finished talking to her about something important. And I'll never forget when she said, well, you deserve that. You deserve to lose your account because you didn't call this man a woman. You didn't, because of course, trans women are women, and this completely evil like incantation that we've been dealing with for the last several years. The social pressures of losing friends, like losing. I had an ex-girlfriend that I was obviously before I met my wife. Like the social pressures are really tough. They're extremely tough. But you know what? When you come out of it at the end, you end up making some just incredible friends at the end of it. And I would include you in that. Like I'm saying, like, like Adam, like were it not for getting canceled, were it not for having this particular transformation, just speaking for myself, I wouldn't have met Nino. I wouldn't have met guys like Adam Coleman. I wouldn't have met guys like Jason Anderson or Jesse Arm and all the other guys, like all of your colleagues at the Manhattan Institute. I would never have gotten to know these guys and call some of them like really good friends.
Yeah.
And
well, you're gonna meet some real ones, man. Some real, people who are, with integrity, with courage, who are smart. They're smart enough to realize this is worth sticking my neck out for because this is a big problem. So you got a whole group of people. I remember Brett Weinstein said something about this, I think a year or two ago, saying how we're up against a lot, but then again, they created a dream team. It's more or less paraphrase what he said, a dream team of people who are some of the smartest people in their field, the people with the most integrity, the people with the most courage, and so that's the bright side of this. Like the real ones come out and stood up against it and are standing up against it, and that weakens the other side if they're made up of liars, mental midgets, cowards, ideologues, people who are narcissists, people who are going to manipulate to get to the way to the top. It's tough to win in a situation like that, and that's why they need to continue to indoctrinate children and try to control the media and intimidate people as much as possible where they can't, and try to control free speech and the things you're seeing in Europe as well with that. So it is, to your point, Isaiah. Yeah, it's that is the good thing of it. It kind of separates the wheat from the chaff. I think.
There's another good aspect of it. I mean, Isaiah mentioned, you meet a lot of other people and you make a lot of other friends, but there's another slightly different thing too. There's another twist to it. I think there's a lot of people going through their lives right now they've never taken a moral stand on something, and they don't know who their friends really are. Okay, but if you've gone through this, you know who your friends really are, because the real ones stood there and stand by you. And I'll tell you, some of the friends that stood by me and then the ones that didn't, it surprised me. Some people who I'd been friends with honestly since kindergarten, who I thought would have been there, they were apparently not my real friend, and some others who I'd met later on turned out that they were. And so I think about this all the time, where it's just I know who my friends are now. All of them. And there's so many people who going through their lives, hanging out right now with a bunch of people who they think are their friends, but they've never actually been tested. They're not. They're surrounded by a bunch of imposters that they will probably never know are not really their friends. And I think that's just a gift to have in a way. That's that knowledge of who your friends are is incredibly powerful to have. I know who to go to immediately if I am in a crisis or something like that, and they'll be there for me. Whereas, there's probably some of those people I thought I could have gone to before, and I would have gone to the wrong people, but they've exposed themselves now. So yeah,
that's a great point, man. And that's very valuable. I mean, to your point, when you say they don't know they don't know who their friends are and they're around a bunch of imposters. Just look at the woke left when somebody steps out of line or messes up. Somebody who's been on their side forever, out there virtue signaling and trying to do the whole cancel culture thing on everybody. But as soon as they say one thing wrong, or there's an old tweet that they found, how quickly they're ostracized or they're made to genuflect and apologize to everybody, and they still never live it down. And that doesn't really happen with our group of more moderate or center right people, anti-woke, whatever you want. Heterodox is probably the best way to put it. People where people can make mistakes as long as it's not too grievous or terrible. It's okay, well, I don't agree with that, but it's all right. They're still a good person. They're still very smart. They still contributed quite a bit. It's okay. So
One last question for you. Because it's been, I want to thank you for being as gracious with your time as you've been, Colin.
It's been great.
I'm still very thankful. I've been smiling quite brightly this whole time with you being here. And I will give Shake credit for this, because he says nobody gets out of here without prescriptions. This is a show about solving problems. We disagree on some descriptions, but what is your prescription? So I guess the question that the Shake asks, and what I'll pass on to you, is where do we go from here, and how do we get out of this thing?
I mean, I think we all need to be builders. There was a period where a lot of us were just, I mean, rightfully so. No one knew what was going on in 2020 when the woke bomb exploded on all of us. So there was understandably a lot of, people running around like, chickens with their heads cut off. And then a lot of people, there was the complaining period where everyone's just like pointing out the problem and being like, this is insane. Look how crazy this is. But then only a smaller subset of people actually go out there and do something about it. This is why people like Christopher Rufo were so impressive, because a lot of people were writing essays about why DEI is wrong, and he just was on a hit on Fox News, and he looked at right in the camera and told President Trump to do an executive order and get DEI out of there, and Trump was watching and he listened, and he's been going after these people. He's gotten tons of scalps, Claudine Gay at Harvard, and putting pressure on all the right places where it needs to happen. I've been doing policy side of things and getting real laws changed. I mean, like, getting a single word of law changed is worth more than a bunch of essays I could write on various topics.
100%.
So that's what I'm focused on, trying to get that win in policy, get those laws changed. I do expert testimony in courts. If you're not in the policy game, not everyone's working at a public policy think tank. You can work locally. I mean, there's school boards that you can influence. You can vote for people. You can run yourself, or you can identify people in your community who can run, that can actually change getting gender ideology out of the schools. I mean, there's things everybody can do. Not everyone can be a Chris Rufo. I can't be a Chris Rufo. He's got a special sauce that he's got. But I can do what I can do, and
the guy's a pit bull.
That's what I'm trying to do. And we all can, in our own capacity, in our own communities, start small. You can do things. Just get out there. You can't just complain. You can't just poke holes in things. That's what the woke stuff does. They're just complainers. They just want to tear everything down. We need to be builders. We can't tear things down unless we build replacements. We need to be better than them. We need to just be the adults in the room and walk them out by their ears. So build things.
Yeah, and Colin, I don't think anybody can ever, accuse you of not doing enough. Obviously, like you said, you've put out a lot of great essays, you raised a lot of awareness, but even more importantly, you've helped change policies and written policies and are informing in cases. Like that's great. That's really great. That's exactly what we need. That's what I like to hear. I like to hear actual laws changing, actual defunding of DEI type stuff. Chris Rufo is a great person to bring up. I'd love to have Chris Rufo on the show. I've been admiring him for a long time. He's all about action.
Yep.
Yes, you need to. You have to have like a counter. You got to have a counter revolution. These are Maoists. This is a Maoist takeover of our culture, of our institutions, and those institutions are vital for a healthy society. And we need to fight
through the institutions. Yeah.
Yes, we need to march back, and we got to be able to recognize them. We need to educate people on what they're doing, educate people on why for the free market and American the way of life and our constitution, everything is so important, and why you can't just abolish that. Why you can't just abolish the police and defund the police and abolish sex, and biological sex and stuff like that. Like all this nonsense they're trying to do, and why you shouldn't be in creating racial tribalism and things were. I think you guys are all old enough. Like I remember, when the Chappelle Show was out and stuff. Like that was probably the apex of race relations. People were all most popular comedy show,
Yeah.
making fun of every race of people, everything, gay people, everything. And it was funny. Everybody thought it was funny. Every group of people thought it was funny. And it was great. And then suddenly, because of wokeness, it kind of skid the opposite direction. And then we're getting back to segregation of graduations and stuff like that, and dorms. It's not good. It's clearly what the woke people are doing is setting us backwards, and by design, because they ran out of things to create civil rights about and get money for, and again politically bludgeon conservatives, as Colin said. So we got to fight back and continue to support the counter revolution, spread awareness, try to change policies, go to school boards, all of that, man. They're well entrenched. They're well entrenched, so we gotta reverse it to save the republic.
It's not going to be easy.
It's not.
But
it's not.
But it's worth.
We're getting
doing.
W's though. We're getting W's.
Things worth doing are easy. So,
Oh yeah.
True.
Mm-hmm.
Colin, I greatly appreciate you for coming on to the show tonight. This has been an absolute blast. You are up, like, I don't even have to say it. You're welcome back anytime. Anytime you want to come back. If you want to be a recurring guest, please feel free to come back, dude. We really appreciate it. You are my friend, and I'm rooting for you all the way, dude. I really am. What are you? Anything else you're working on besides Reality's Last Stand and the stuff you're doing for City Journal?
I'm writing a bunch of reviews against some of the craziest and most influential scientific papers denying the sex binary that are being cited in a lot of court cases, because a lot of what we need, judges need to be able to cite academic papers pushing back against this stuff. And so I'm going to be writing full, reviews and academic responses to these in actual journals. And we're doing a big review of the literature on sort of the activist concept of brain sex, because this is one of the fundamental pillars that activists are using to push gender affirming care. And just no one's really pushed back on this concept very much, but it is total pseudoscience. And so I'll be exposing that, and hopefully that'll help us get some more policy wins in the future. So those are the main big projects I'm working on at the moment.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Hey, Colin, man, we're very honored to have you on, man. Like I said, if you want to even come back in a couple weeks and talk about that stuff or anything, like any kind of papers you want to bring up or any, just do a presentation on it, let us know anytime.
Yeah. When I have a big win, I'll reach out and we'll do something.
Great. Beautiful.
Thank you, brother. Thank you so much for coming on again, man. It was a blast, and
thanks, brother.
We will stay in touch. We will stay in touch. All right, my man. Take care. Good night. What a show, man.
That's great, man. I love to hear that. I love to hear actual action.
Yes.
Like real action, real policy changes, real that he's like, creating the, because there is probably very few academic papers anymore or at all that are talking about some of the things that they're because they just create new things, like, right, the woke will create a new term and a new like what is the brain sex, he said, and just be like, oh yeah, this is science because some gender studies professor said so, so it's got to be scientific. Nobody else wrote anything about it, so it's it's great. We need somebody like him who knows biology and has studied like sex differences and all that in biology to be like, no, actually there is from a real scholar like me, there is quite a bit of dissent about this, and actually it's bullshit. It's pseudoscience. And then you can have the lawyers look at it and be like, and the judges be like, well, what makes more sense? And of course, what Colin's going to say is going to make more sense, because the other stuff is nonsense, absolute nonsense.
Well,
we need more of that, man.
Yeah, we do. Folks, I want to thank you all for joining us for this 59th episode of Apostate Radio. This has been a fantastic ride, and I greatly approve. I think I speak for my brother over here, Nino, when I say we greatly appreciate you guys coming on, joining us every when we appreciate it when you joined us on Sundays, and now we we really appreciate it when you're joining us here on Tuesday night. This has been fantastic, and I thank you all for your prayers, for your support over these last 16 months. We're rocking and rolling, and
thanks for the support, guys. Thanks for the all the comments. Thank you for the super chats today, for buy me a coffee donations. Really appreciate it.
Yeah,
and it's really helpful for us.
We will keep working to earn everything that we're asking for, and sometimes I've felt as if we haven't offered enough. There are some things that I wish we could do more. Shake says he's still getting Nino deported. Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, what are you gonna do without me, bro? Come on, man.
But no, this has been a humbling experience, and I'm really appreciative of all of you coming by and building Apostate Radio into what it is. Next week we are going to have Rosangel Perez, who hosts a show called Cafecito Break on YouTube. We're going to talk about like local politics and stuff. She's been real big in the Maha movement, Make America Healthy Again. Okay. We'll talk some local New York City politics. I've been just looking at a couple of things over the last few minutes, and it appears that Brad Lander has won the Democratic primary and has unseated Dan Goldman. Dan Goldman was one of the prosecutors in the first attempt, in the first impeachment trial of President Trump, and it looks like Dan Goldman's been unseated as a congressman. I'm looking at a couple other things. There's one race in particular, Adriano Espaillat, who's a U.S. congressman for I think it's New York, the 13th district. He is the incumbent, and he was being challenged by a DSA member by the name of, and you'll love this, Daria Liza Avila Chevalier.
Got a French last name?
Yeah. Oh, well, French, but that's Haitian.
Yeah.
That's Haitian. Listen, I
so
know.
So one of Mondani's people lost?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if she's lost yet. I'm looking. I'm trying to. She was down by like 30 points according to Kalshi, but I don't count prediction markets and stuff like that. So I'm going to be paying some pretty close attention to that over the next few minutes before I go to bed. But Brad Lander, who has been a Democratic socialist, he's been a member of the DSA, card carrying since 1986, and he just beat yet another establishment Dem. America's in serious trouble as if these assholes still keep racking up wins. We are in serious trouble unless somebody gets serious about actually enforcing the Communist Control Act of 1954. We're going to keep having these problems. And the local metros, the big metros like New York, Chicago, Baltimore, DC, they're all going to fucking suffer. This is a serious problem. They knew they are laying low, and they are laying low at the federal level. And while they lay low at the federal level, and everybody keeps their eyes on Trump, these communist assholes are building their infrastructure on the local level, and they are expanding. This is something to watch, folks. It really is. That's our show tonight. Once again, next Tuesday, Rosangel Perez of Cafecito Break. I'm ILC. That's Nino. We will see you next week.
Thanks for coming, everybody.
Posting pics with the Bolsheviks, their enemies who vote for it. Open up the border, let the boats with the homeless in. Never trust a commie. Never trust a commie. Never trust a commie. Mr. Mundami. Never trust the communists. Never trust the promises. If you vote for it, you won't forget the consequence. Never trust the communists. Never trust the promises. If you vote for it, you won't forget the consequence. Cheers to the champagne socialists. No regret when they vote them in. So intense when they sold us in. Bodies on the floor, they don't notice them. None of you heard about the gulag. Stop for their food farms, barred in the gulags. The train left the station with a choo-choo. Nothing worse than the smile when they shoot you. Never trust a commie. Never trust a commie. Never trust a commie. Let's congratulate Mr. Mamdani. Never trust the communists. Never trust the promises. If you vote for it, you won't forget the cons. Never trust the communists. Never trust the promises. If you vote for it, you won't forget the cons.